Welcome to Discovery Watch with John Kaiser.
I'm Jim Goddard. John, welcome back to Discovery Watch.
Good to be back, Jim.
Today, we'll be checking on the Chichu project. Last year, the project of Sirios Resources attracted a lot of market attention that fizzled later in the year. This January, after Sirios started a 10,000-meter drill program, the market has not cared much. But during the past week, the stock has woken up. Is somebody front-running good drill results or something else going on?
Well, Jim, given that we're in a very sluggish market since April, and the public seems to have given up on the resource sector, this little jump from 30-cent level to 40-cent plus in the past week did catch my attention. I wondered, is the company sitting on some good news? Well, I did talk to Dominique Doucette, the CEO, to get an update on where they stand, and I do not think the company is sitting on any particularly special drill results. The program that they started in January, they stopped it in mid-April to deal with spring thaw, and they only got about just over half of their meterage done that they planned. It seems the problem was that Osisko Mining has commandeered 20-plus rigs for its Windfall District project, where it's engaged in a 400,000-meter drill program. And from the sort of scuttlebutt that I hear, drilling contractors, they would prefer to be 100 and 150 kilometers from Val-d'Or rather than 1,000 kilometers in the middle of central Quebec, where you're not near any civilization whatsoever unless you get to stay at the Eleanor mine itself. So I have a suspicion that what happened was the best rigs with the best crews are down there in the Windfall District beavering away, and probably the reason that there was lower productivity in these far-flung regions is because that's where the lower-ranking drill crews were sent. And of course, there was pretty bad winter in Quebec, not so much in Montreal itself, but they've had all kinds of flooding and miserable weather and so on. So the company did not get everything done that it really planned. They did put out a news release on May 30th, and there was a couple of interesting holes in the southeast corner of the Chichu intrusion, but nothing, despite metallic sieves and visible gold, nothing really off the scale except one particular interval. They have 8 holes still pending, and these are done more in the inner part of the Chichu intrusion within what they call the halo of low-grade disseminated mineralization. They are drilling them in a northwest direction, and in this area they do not yet have documented these northeast high-grade structures such as they do in the southeast end. They've learned to not get excited about visible gold. Sometimes they have visible gold in the core and the assay comes back lame. Sometimes they have nothing and they get a pretty exciting assay. So they've got these 2 lines of holes pending. They're not expecting anything significant. But what they are doing is doing a lot of mapping, prospecting, and channel sampling in this area. And I think what we're seeing in this market is the beginning of a turnaround for this junior sector funk that we've had. Last year we had a tremendous rally from about late January until mid-August, and it largely tracked the trend in the gold price, which turned south in the second half of last year. This year we had gold trending up at the start of the year, but it stalled around April, and we've had the market sort of going sideways. The bigger companies, the ones with advanced optionality plays, they have suffered in the market, as have producers. Some of them are down an astonishing percentage from their peaks earlier this year. But for the discovery exploration narrative, we're in a zone here where in the summer doldrums, people start thinking about the fall. And given the enormous amount of money raised by a relatively small number of companies in the first part of the year, we should be due for all kinds of interesting results in the second half of this year, hopefully leading to a breakout by the end of the year and a much stronger 2018. In the case of Sirios, they plan to resume drilling in September. They plan to go into the southwest corner of the property where they have a gold and soil anomaly, and where it's not that far from the JT, showing that the Azimuth East Main Gold Corp joint venture drilled about 8-10 years ago, and that really didn't connect to anything. They wanted to drill that this winter, but because of the slow productivity, never made it there. Another area they plan to go to is on the northern flank, in the northwestern part of that property, what they call the Wildcat Zone, where they have a substantial gold and soil anomaly. They have drilled a couple holes into the interpreted contact zone and got so-so results. Nothing that yet explains the gold and soil anomaly. So they'll be going back in there. They plan to drill 4 700-meter deep holes in this area where they got a couple of high-grade intervals this winter. They intersected metasediments at a depth of about 500 meters. And the story, of course, here is that this tonalite intrusion itself isn't really the source of the mineralization, but it is the locus of the solution flow that came up. And the hope is that it's not just the tonalite whose cracks help to serve as a pathway for the fluids and resulted in gold being dropped out here and there, but also that the metasediments that are beneath it, because this is something of a flat-lying intrusive body, are also mineralized. So these 4 deep holes are going to be quite important, because if they can demonstrate that the gold mineralization extends beneath the igneous tonalite rock into the older metasediment country rocks, then they can argue that we have a situation similar to the Eleanor deposit, which where the gold is mainly hosted by the metasediments. The company has about $4 million working capital left. Nevertheless, Dominique Doucette has been pounding the pavement in New York, trying to stir up interest, and it's possible that we may see some financing activity down the road here as the public warms up to the idea that this Chichu project is not dead, that it is still alive and well, and that it kind of faltered because not as much drilling was done as expected. And the company is doing stuff. They're stripping an area where the high-grade structures come out at the edge of the Chichu intrusion, and they hope to have this 100-meter area stripped and go in there and map it physically on the ground, because the key thing with this project is they have to get a handle on how to connect the dots. What are the mineralization controls with this system? Because until they have an understanding, they cannot drill it properly in a manner that will deliver a meaningful resource.
We'll have more Discovery Watch with John Kaiser right after the break.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
GEM International is a new diamond explorer in the richest diamond producing country in Africa, located next to the 4th largest producing diamond mine in the world. International Spotlight is on an 1109 carat diamond recently discovered in Africa by a fellow Canadian junior with a proven operator and finance team. GEM International trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol GI. Visit us at gemdiamondmining.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with John Kaiser. John, Osisko Mining stock price, which peaked at $5.60 in early April, seems to have bottomed after dropping below $4 in early July. What can we expect going forward?
Osisko's fully diluted market cap is about $800 million. And with such a valuation, the market does not really respond to any drill results, especially from the Windfall District, unless they were to come up with something astonishing like 100 meters of 20-gram gold, signaling that they've hit into something very different than what the Windfall District is all about. The big story for Osisko will be later this year when they've compiled all the results from this 400,000-meter drill program, and the engineers have gone in there and modeled the resource in terms of their new interpretation of what the mineral controls are as opposed to what people used to think they were. will they come out with an updated resource estimate that is substantially better than the 1.6 million ounces that they already have at 8-10 grams per ton? We're looking for a substantial increase in the multiples of that in terms of contained ounces. And we also want to see evidence that they now understand where there are mineable zones. Because the argument that Osisko Mining has put forth is that the Windfall District is in reality a misunderstood Timmins scale district. And if you drill it from the right angle with the right geological models, you will be able to put together resources in a way that all of a sudden you have something that can be mined that has economic value. Because the sad thing about the old Windfall District deposit was that a PEA, even at $1,200 gold with that high grade and 1.6 million ounces, it still didn't work at $1,200 gold, and that needs to change. So the stock is going to be kind of like following market sentiments. And you can tell that Sean Rosen must be getting bored, because on Friday, Osisko put out an unusual announcement that it is teaming up with other groups to explore for fighter jets in Lake Ontario. And the fighter jets that they're looking for are these test flight models of the Avro Arrow. And I understand, Jim, that you are an airplane buff who knows an awful lot about this. Why is this exciting? Why is this company distracting itself and putting together money for a submersible and sonar system to hunt for these model test flight airplanes? What's this all about?
Well, the Avro Arrow at the time would have been the world's most advanced fighter jet interceptor. It flew at nearly twice the speed of sound at 50,000 feet. It's a delta wind configuration, which makes it very clean, very fast, very maneuverable. And, of course, the official story was that it was shut down because Canada couldn't develop that and a ballistic missile interception program at the same time, but that really wasn't it. The U.S. simply was jealous of the development that Canada had done in the aerospace industry and was bluntly told, you continue the development and the possible sale of the Avro Arrow, and we will start a trade war that Canada just can't survive. So, although Prime Minister Diefenbaker was strongly criticized for canceling the program, he had very little choice about it. And within 3 days of the Avro Arrow being canceled, NASA was actively recruiting their staff. A third of the scientists who worked on the Apollo project were Canadian, many of them stolen, I should say, borrowed or recycled from the Avro Arrow program. So there's a lot of bitterness engaged in that. And if you can imagine, if Canada was allowed to develop this world-class aircraft, it actually probably still would have been part of the active inventory into the 80s when it would likely have been replaced by the CF-18 Hornet. So, yeah, there's a lot of interest in it. And all the working models of it, there were 5, were all destroyed and turned into scrap metal. Again, they would have been a huge embarrassment to the American aerospace industry because they're so much more advanced than what they had at the time.
I understand that they destroyed absolutely everything related to the Avro Arrow very quickly afterwards. And part of this Canadian obsession to find these airplanes, this isn't the first time that somebody is setting out to try and detect these things. Apparently, Lake Ontario is a complete garbage can of metal in this area, so it's not so easy to detect these small models that are only like 3 by 2 meters compared to sort of the 24 by 15 meter actual Delta aircraft. What is it that is this obsession with finding these remnants of this program?
Well, I'm sure the Americans just look at us as a bunch of wood choppers and people who haul stuff out of the ground. Canada's aerospace industry would have threatened theirs. It's a matter of recording history right. Why were they so insistent that we destroy every trace of this marvelous aircraft? So recovering these models will be in horrible shape having been on the water for so long, but at least it'll actually show the sleek designs that had the rest of the world jealous of Canada.
So there's no secrets to be found by recovering these, because I guess with the Great Canadian Brain Drain, whatever went into developing these aircraft shifted to the United States, where they went on to develop what would be probably superior aircraft to what the Avro Arrow was at its time.
The excuse for destroying everything was to keep it out of the hands of the Soviets, but frankly, it was more to keep it out of the eyes of the world.
Interesting. Well, Sean Rusin's I believe it was his grandfather was a fighter pilot. I can see why Osisko would end up sponsoring this hunt. And there's an interesting parallel at that Windfall District. They're chasing these small, high-grade zones. Now they're chasing these small model aircraft on the Lake Ontario floor.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after this.
Lotus Ventures Inc. is a BC-based medical marijuana company poised to launch into the rapidly evolving cannabis sector. Lotus is in the final review stage of the Health Canada approvals to become a licensed producer, having arranged facility financing of up to $12 million, plus building permits for its prototype indoor production facility. Shares trade under the symbol J on the Canadian Securities Exchange. Visit our website at lotusventures.ca.
I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain's Brunswick property is located in the Rideout Shear Zone in Ontario. With grab samples running as high as 32 grams per ton gold, a drill program will commence this spring to test the numerous targets located by recent groundwork. For more information, visit our website, rmroyalty.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with John Kaiser. John, some time ago, you introduced GFK Resources as a Discovery Watch Junior because you regarded it as an area play canary because of the Fecto property in the urban Barrie area that Osisko surrounded with claim staking. The stock is still at 10 cents. Does this mean that the Windfall District has not yet hit a critical mass?
The Windfall District is not yet a true area play. I have become a shareholder of GFK Resources as a way to have a piece of this play if it does get the critical mass, which I think will require Osisko Mining to deliver a resource estimate that suddenly has everybody respecting this camp. Now, the company itself, GFK, has been working on a $2.3 million financing units at 10 cents and for common, and I think 13 cents for flow-through, and it's been working on this quite a while. It closed about $1.2 million in late June, and there's apparently one group that has promised to participate that's still dragging its heels about getting the funds and paperwork together. So hopefully they will get that done in the next while. The company conducted a 3,000-meter program on a cluster of properties that they had acquired from Probe Metals. They have decided not to release any results until this financing is done. I'm not sure there's going to be anything special coming out of those results. I think once the funding is in place, they will go to work on the Fecto project in September, and hopefully results that they can generate on that project enable it to be a standalone while we wait for the Osisko Mining resource estimate later in the year to really make this play get a lot of respect. And that's kind of the bet with GFK, is that the Windfall District ends up validated as indeed a Timmins scale district with 20 million plus ounce potential.
Rainy Mountain Royalty reported results for the first round of drilling on its grassroots Brunswick project in Ontario. Do we have a discovery?
We do not yet have a discovery at the Brunswick project, which is a grassroots play. The company set out to drill about 14 holes in a number of 2 to 4 kilometer shear zones associated with IP anomalies. These cover about a third of the 9.6 kilometer long property. Bob Middleton, who was involved with the discovery of the Bell Creek deposit within the Timmins camp, he is convinced that the arsenic values that they are getting are all related to a Timmins type system, and what he hasn't yet found is the gold enriched zone that he believes will be part of this system. They did nick 1 meter or so of 3.29 grams per ton, and then another meter of 1.38 grams per ton. They encountered anomalous gold smoke, which they didn't bother reporting because it was so low. So he thinks this is a pregnant system. They just haven't yet found the place where the gold ended up concentrating, and they've been preparing to do IP surveys in the western part of the property. They've got an outcrop where they have some interesting values. So the story is not over here yet. The first pass simply hasn't delivered the discovery hole that tells us, hey, we have a discovery. We now need to start delineating it and build ounces through delineation drilling.
John, thank you so much for the update.
You're welcome, Jim.
We've been speaking with John Kaiser, his website, kaiserresearch.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Discovery Watch will be back soon.
Comments made on Discovery Watch are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at howstreet.com. Discovery Watch is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.